Hello and welcome to The Explainer. Have you ever really stopped to think about how your smart speaker or your phone actually gets you? How does it go from you saying something out loud to the perfect song playing? Well, today we're going to crack open that black box and see exactly how that conversation really works. It all kicks off with something super simple and familiar, just like this. We ask a question and boom, we get an answer almost instantly. It feels totally seamless. That immediate response, it's not magic, even though it feels like it. It's actually a super sophisticated process happening behind the scenes. So what's really going on in that tiny little gap between you asking the question and the AI replying? That's what we're here to break down. To us, on the outside, it just looks like a simple conversation. But that simplicity is hiding some seriously complex stuff in a field called natural language processing, or NLP for short. For most of us, the whole thing is basically a black box. We talk to it, it talks back, but what happens in the middle is a total mystery. So let's go ahead and open up that box and take a look at the gears turning inside. So what's in there? Well, it turns out any AI conversation, and I mean any of them, is basically built on two main pillars. You can almost think of it like an AI brain that's split into two halves. And each half has its own very specific job to do. The whole thing breaks down really neatly into these two parts. First, you've got intent recognition. That's the part that's all about listening and, more importantly, understanding. Then you've got response generation, which is the thinking and replying part. These two things, right here, they're the bedrock of all conversational AI. Okay, let's dive into that first, absolutely critical half of the process. Before an AI can do anything for you, it has to figure out what on earth you actually want from it. So this idea, intent recognition, it's not just about picking up the words you said. It's about figuring out your goal. What's your intent? For instance, you could ask, "What's the forecast?" Or you could say, "Do I need a coat today?" The words are different, but the goal is the same. You want the weather. The AI's first job is to nail down that one specific goal. Let's walk through this with a real example. What's the weather in London? Okay, so first, step one, the system processes the raw words. Step two, it immediately identifies your intent. It says, aha, the user's goal is to get weather. And finally, step three, it scans the sentence for the crucial details, what the pros call entities. In this case, it pulls out location, London. And just like that, your normal-sounding sentence is now a perfect, structured command that a machine can work with. All right, so the AI gets it. It understands the command. Now it's got to fire up the second half of its brain to actually figure out how to reply to you. And that brings us to response generation. Once the AI knows the goal and it has the data it needs, like the actual forecast for London, its job is to package all that information into a reply that sounds natural, like a human would say it. Now, there are really two main ways an AI can put together a reply. The first way is to pull from a script. It's kind of like having a template and just plugging in the specific details. This is super fast and super reliable. But the second way, the more advanced way, is to generate a reply completely from scratch using these huge, powerful language models. This is what allows for conversations that feel way more flexible and, more human. So we've seen both halves of the process, first understanding and then replying. Let's put it all back together and see why this simple little loop is such a revolutionary thing. So what are the key things you got to remember? Well, first, every single AI conversation is just a two-step dance. Understand, then reply. That's it. Second, that intent recognition part is the crucial first step where it figures out your goal. And third, response generation is how it builds the answer. And believe it or not, this simple loop is the engine that powers everything, from the chatbot on a website to your entire smart home. And there you have it. We've gone from something that felt like a magic trick to a process that's actually pretty simple, but incredibly powerful. It's a logical flow. Listen, figure out the goal, grab the details, and then build a reply. It's not magic at all, just some seriously brilliant engineering. And all of this leaves us with one last really fascinating question. For pretty much the first time in history, we can have a real conversation with our technology. We've just figured out how it understands us today. The real adventure is thinking about where this conversation will go tomorrow.